Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista. We're in the kitchen today getting some canning done. It is absolutely beautiful outside. I'm just opening this window to let some fresh air in. But last week I went to Walmart. It was Easter week last week, and I had went to Walmart to pick up something. I can't remember what it was. And I noticed that they had a whole bunch of pineapples. Now, these are not organic. These are just a regular run-of-the-mill pineapple. Just the standard ones you get at Walmart. They had these not on sale, and I wouldn't call it a sale by any means because I have definitely gotten pineapples for 99 cents before. But these were $1.80, I believe, or $1.86. So I picked up 5 of them. I want to get some more pineapples in my pantry. I only have 4 more jars, and they're actually half-pint jars. So I've been meaning to pick some up, and they've been running about $2 each, and I thought they have a lot in stock. I might as well just grab them at $1.86. It's still cheaper than me actually buying some canned pineapple. So what we're gonna do today is we are gonna get these 5 pineapples because they're starting to get very ripe because, like I said, I bought them last week. So we are going to get them into some jars and make them shelf stable. Now, I am kind of referencing 2 different recipes, both of them exactly the same. So the first one is in this canning book, and it is on page 150. Just need to get my glasses on so I can see. It is on 150. However, the reason I'm not really going to use this recipe is because it is canning it in a syrup. I don't want to add any sugar to this, and you actually don't need to. I did some research, and on National Center for Home Food Preservation, so it is an actual safe canning website, they do have some pineapple that you can can here without using any syrup. So this one is going to tell me how to do it in water, which is what I want because pineapple is already super sweet on its own and I don't want to add any additional sugar. And last time I canned that, I just canned it in water, which is, again, perfectly safe. And it still maintained its flavor. It is absolutely amazing. It tastes literally like I'm eating a fresh pineapple when I eat those canned pineapple. And I know that you can cut them up and preserve them in the freezer and then they're perfect for smoothies, but I have found that my freezer space is just absolutely limited right now. We actually just went and picked up our hog last weekend and we have 0 freezer space and we have half of a cow coming in a couple months. So I need to get out there and do a good organization, but that's not going to be today. Today is pineapple day. The other thing that I potentially want to get done, and I'm really thinking I have to get it done, is when we made those Costco muffins, I had some apple pie filling left over and it is still in my fridge. So I need to get some ham pies made. Now I could have sworn that I had some pre-made pie crust in my freezer, but they are buried because, again, we just got that hog and I unfortunately did not really do a good organization before we went and picked it up, and everything just kind of got thrown in that freezer, and I think the pie crusts are at the very bottom of my freezer. So we have to make some pie crusts to make our ham pies today. So we're gonna get those 2 things done. The other fun thing I have potentially happening today, and I really, really hope it happens today, is we are supposed to get our shipment of turkeys in. We ordered 10 turkeys from McMurray Hatchery. They are just a kind of like a grower turkey, like the Cornish cross. They're a breed of turkey that kind of grows fast and grows fairly quickly. Within 20 weeks, we should be able to process these turkeys. So the end of August, we'll hopefully put some turkeys in our freezer. But anyways, they shipped out on Tuesday and I still haven't gotten them yet. So I'm really hoping the post office calls me today and I can go and pick them up and that they are fine. So we'll see how that is. So I'm kind of waiting for that phone call to kind of drop everything and go and get them. That is what we have planned today. So it's gonna be a fun day. I spent all day yesterday putting some more grapes in. We have about 6 Concord grapes kind of in a back area of our front part of our yard, and some of them had actually died because it is a very, very wet area there, and they kind of got soaked and then rotted. But some of them turned out that they are really thriving and surviving well. So I went yesterday and purchased 2 more Concord grapes because I want to have I wanted to have the full 6 there. But I realized that one of my grapes was actually doing well. So now we have 7 grapes. So I am going to probably end up going out tomorrow and picking up 1 more grapevine from the Amish because they're only $6.50 for an established grapevine. It's perfect. And I'm actually gonna get some red raspberries. We went yesterday to Lowe's and got everything to make some raspberry beds because, again, where we're planning on putting them, it is kind of a lower spot and it does get pretty wet there, and raspberries like a very well drained soil. So we're gonna make a little bit of a garden bed back there, and then we're gonna put some raspberry bushes in tomorrow. So super exciting for that. We won't have raspberries this year, but hopefully by next year they'll be established and start giving us some raspberries. There's a little update on what happened yesterday, but let's get started on getting these pineapples canned. And I want to show you guys literally how easy it is to take something that if you can get on sale, like for 99 cents again, I have seen them priced at that, and make it a very easy shelf-stable snack. It's amazing. I'm gonna leave the recipe for this below for you guys. Like, I'll leave the link for this website that I'm using it from. It's a really straightforward recipe, and you can kind of can them to however you want. I'll just kind of read to you what the beginning part of the recipe says. It says, wash pineapples, peel and remove eyes and tough fiber. You can either slice or cube them. Pineapples may be packed in water, apple juice, white grape juice, or even a very light or medium syrup. So we need to boil these for 10 minutes once we get them chopped. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to take all of this skin off. We're gonna take the inside core off. And I like to can my pineapples in little like cubes, like, what are they called? Tippets? I don't know what they're called. Anyways, I like to can them in little cubes instead of the slice because sometimes I use them in like a fruit salad. Again, because they maintain the flavor of a fresh pineapple, they are absolutely perfect to use in a fruit salad. I love having them for breakfast. So we're just gonna take these tags off. I have a bowl here in my sink. I'm gonna put all of my scraps in there. I don't really want to give these to the chickens because they're a little tough. One thing I've seen really cool is that you can actually take the top of a pineapple and you can grow it and grow like a whole new pineapple, but we're not going to do that today because we're just starting growing season, and I honestly, at this point, don't need another project. So let's get these all skinned and get all this rough skin off, and then we'll get them all chopped up, and then we'll put them in a saucepan for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna do these in pint-sized jars. You can do them in pint or quart jars. Both of them are perfectly safe for canning. I have a stock pot here, so I'm just gonna put this in my sink here. We are going to get these cubed up and get the cores taken out, and I'm just gonna put all of the cubes into this bowl, and then we can move on to the next step after that. So in the Ball Blue Book, it recommends cutting them into 1/2 inch cubes. But again, in National Home Preservation website, it does not specify. It just says you can slice it or cube it. So it does not give you a size to cut them in. So this is the size that I like. I would say maybe it's like 1 inch by 1/2 inch. And so we're just gonna put them into this pot here that's sitting in my sink. I'm also just gonna cut off any bad spots that are left on it and any more of these little eyes because I didn't get them all off when I was skinning it. So we'll just cut some of those off because those are not enjoyable to bite into. all chopped up. Problem is the stock pot isn't big enough for all of these. So I'm gonna have to use 2 different stock pots. Now the recipe does not specify how much water you need to add to this. It just says add pineapple to water or whatever liquid you're using. So I'm assuming, because we're gonna be putting these into pint-sized jars and adding that liquid in, I'm assuming that you wanna have at least enough liquid that you're gonna be able to add to the jars. So we're just gonna top them off with liquid. So like cover them completely. I'm actually gonna spoon. We'll cover them up completely, and then that way if we have extra liquid, that's fine. I just don't wanna have not enough liquid. So I'm just gonna half these. Put half of this into this stock pot here. I really need to invest in a big stock pot because I think this is like maybe 6 quarts. I really need a big one, maybe 10 quarts at max. I'm looking for like a 20 quart stock pot. I feel like that will be good for my canning projects. So I have both of them. I probably could put some more back into there, but now we are going to add the water. That should be good for that one. So we'll just get this on the heat. Okay, that's good for that one. The website says to simmer for 10 minutes. It does not say to boil, it just says to simmer. My guess is we're just getting these pieces hot and we're just kind of getting this water a little bit infused with some of that pineapple juice. Simmering for 10 minutes. So while these are simmering, we are gonna get started on that pie crust so that I can let that kind of cool in the fridge for about an hour before we make the apple turnovers. Or apple hand pies, whatever you call them. I think I've actually shared before on a video how I make my pie crust. I'm not sure though. So I'm gonna be doubling the recipe because the recipe that I have only makes 1 pie crust. So it, like, let's say you're making like, I don't know what pie crust, like a lemon meringue pie. You only need the bottom, so this recipe only makes 1. But if you're making something like an apple pie or a peach pie and you want to put that top layer on, you need to double the recipe. But because we are making the turnovers, I kind of want to have more pie crust than just, because I don't think 1 would be enough. My measurements that I'm doing are going to be to double, which usually in most cases you really kind of like to have a double pie crust anyways. So the recipe originally calls for 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, so I'm going to use 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And then we need half a stick of cold butter, but we're going to be using 2 sticks, so you need a full cup of butter for this. So again, original recipe only calls for half a cup. And I like to cube it up a little bit before I put it in here. Makes it easier to blend. Definitely want to try to keep it as cold as possible because when you have those nice cold pieces of butter in it, it really helps make a nice flaky pie crust. Okay, and sugar, you need half a teaspoon of granulated sugar. So we're gonna put in a teaspoon of sugar and then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So we're gonna add half a teaspoon. And then the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of ice water. So I have half a cup in here. I am going to actually, first of all, just cut this butter in. I'm just using my pastry blender here, just this tool. I'm just gonna cut the butter in before I actually add that ice water in because I like to kind of check the consistency of it. I don't sometimes add the full 1/4 cup and then sometimes I add more than that 1/4 cup. So again, because we're doubling, we're gonna do half a cup, but we're just gonna kind of see how it is. So we're gonna gradually add it in. A really quick way of making pie crust is to do it in your food processor, if you have one. I do have one. I just There's something about making pie crust from like with your hands that I just like way better than doing it the quick and easy way. I like doing things more the difficult way. Not the difficult, this is not difficult by any means. It's just a good workout. And any chance that I can get of getting a workout, I'm all about it. Like yesterday when I was planting those grapevines and just kind of amending them and putting the compost and feeding them, that was a workout, weeding those things. And I realized as I was going and getting all of the tools, because I'm also making a new garden bed, that I really do not need a gym membership. As a gardener, my muscles get so much of a workout during gardening season, which is good because I guess I eat more during gardening season. Okay, so right there, if you can see it or not, that's kind of the consistency that I like with my pie crust. So now what I'm gonna do is just take some of this water and then we're just gonna stir it in. Now with clean hands, I like to actually start to, okay, so we're gonna use the full half cup. I like to start to do this with it and just get it kind of all mushed together. And I'm trying to do this fairly quickly because I do not wanna melt this butter with my hands. Okay, I'm gonna put it out onto my surface here, my countertop, and then we're just gonna kind of blend this all together. Do not want to make the mistake when you see this, you think, oh, you need to add more water, but you definitely do not need to add more water. You do not want to have too much water in your pie crust. Also really try not to overwork this. Okay, that's good. It's pretty much together. Okay, and then I'm going to get some clear wrap, some saran wrap, and then I'm gonna wrap this. See how you can see like the chunks of butter still in it? That's perfect. So we're gonna wrap this and put it in the fridge. Into the fridge this goes now. So these have been simmering for 10 minutes, so we are gonna get them off. You can see right here we've got a good simmer and it's definitely smelling like pineapple in here. So we're gonna get these off. These, because this is in a bigger pot, these actually aren't simmering yet. So we'll get these jarred up first, and then by the time we get those finished jarring up, the other one should be kind of done doing its thing. So let's get these off the heat right now. Actually gonna move this pot over to here so we can get this pot back on the stove. We're gonna get our hot jars out of here. Again, because we're using a hot liquid, putting it in hot water, we need hot jars. And this is a water bath canning recipe, and I absolutely love water bath canning. Less babysitting. We can only do 8 pints at a time in the water bath canner, so we may end up having to do a second round anyways. Oh, you know what I need? I need lids. I don't have my lids out. So the website says that we need to leave 1/2 inch of headspace in these. Once I get these filled up, I will go through and we will just debubble them all and then adjust the headspace if needed. I'm just gonna move the ones out of the way that we just did. Okay, so we have all of the headspace adjusted. We're gonna have to do a second batch. So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking some white vinegar and a rag, and I'm just cleaning the tops of these because they are very sticky. This is one thing that you definitely do not want to skip this step because there is a lot of stickiness on this, and you want to make sure that that doesn't compromise the seal. Just clean the lid or the rim and then take one of our lids. Guys, this is not the right size lid. Ah! Okay, so I went and cleaned all of these rims and got the right size jar lid. I don't know what I was thinking. I usually can these, I guess, in regular mouth ones, but I thought I would like to have them in a wide mouth because it makes it easier to get them out. And then we're just gonna get the rings put on. Ooh, let's get the jar lid here. Get them fingertip tight. These are very hot jars. Let's start to actually put them in here so that they don't cool down at all. Forgot a jar in there. So we have one more to fill. Maybe I'm asleep, guys. I'm not sure. Okay, I want to make sure I'm running this canner full, so I'm going to get this extra jar that I just realized I had filled. Get these ones put in here first so that they don't cool down too much. Okay, got this last one filled up. I might empty some of this water in here too, it's a little full. Okay, now we're gonna put the lid on. We're gonna wait for it to come to a full rolling boil. Once it comes to that full boil, then we are gonna set the timer, and because we're doing pint-sized jars, we can do it at 20 minutes. If you are doing quart-sized jars, it is 25 minutes. So easy peasy. I love water bath canning because I literally wait for the boil, set the timer, and I can walk away and do stuff and not have to monitor it. It just does its thing. So we will clean up this mess, and then once that is done, then we will start the process of getting the other bit, because I would say there's maybe, I'm gonna guess, maybe 8, 7 more pints that we can do out of that. So we just got the call. The turkeys are now at the post office, so we are gonna head in and pick them up. I am just waiting for this. It's already finished its 20 minutes and we have about 1.5 minutes left. I just let it sit in there for 5 minutes once it's completely done. And then after the 5 minutes, we're gonna take them out and lay them, or not lay them, place them on this, it's just like a beach towel. We're gonna place them on there and then we're gonna let them rest for the 24 hours. So while we run and pick up those turkeys, what I'm gonna do is just get this back onto the stovetop and just get some jars in it, empty jars, because we have to do another batch of this. But I'm not gonna leave the stove on. I'm just gonna put the jars in just so that they can heat up slowly. And then when we get back, we will can up that second batch of pineapple, and then we will also get those apple turnovers all made, or hand pies. I don't know what you call them. We call them turnovers. That's how I've always called them growing up. So whatever you call them, hand pies, turnovers, we'll get those started. There is so much chirping happening in my house right now. We have our ones that hatched inside the house, which they are actually going to be coming out here next week. And then we now have our turkeys. These are giant white turkeys from McMurray Hatchery, and these guys can get to be up to 50 pounds. This is a mix of both male and female. They didn't have just like an option to pick one or the other. So these are a mix. So we have these guys in here now. They are all safe and sound. We got 10 of them because we figure 10 is gonna be good for the year. Any more than 10, we honestly probably wouldn't have the space to house all of them. So we have these ones in here. Our meat birds are now starting the process of staying outside all day. The only day that I'm actually probably gonna bring them inside is potentially Saturday, Sunday, because we're supposed to have another storm come through and it's gonna bring another cold front. So those nights are gonna be probably about 43, and I still don't think they're ready for that cold temperature, even with the heat lamp out there with them. So those guys are gonna be out for the next probably 3 nights and then come in for a couple more nights, and then they're evicted. They're staying out there after that, because the 10-day forecast, we don't have anything like really much colder than that, and plus they're almost all feathered out, which means that they're safe to staying out there. But a lot of chirping right now. I can't wait to get the ones that are inside the house out into here, because it's kind of just all the time, especially if I'm spending the day in the kitchen. It's just, I love little baby chicks, but it's a lot of noise. So I'm really excited that these guys made it safe and sound. I was kind of concerned being that they were shipped out on Tuesday night and it's now what, noon on Thursday. So they made it good. I dunked their beaks in water as soon as I took them out and they're just running around happy. They're chirping probably because they're happy to be out of the box. So we're back home now. So let's get finishing these pineapples so that we can move on to the apple turnovers. And then I'm gonna get back outside because today is supposed to be in the 80s. So I wanna go out and get some more projects done. I got my beets planted yesterday, which is a huge win. I have procrastinated a little bit too long on that and I'm hoping that they'll be fine. So we're gonna get this canner turned back on. I'm gonna get my hands washed and then we will get these other pineapples done. We had some leftover water from where the pineapples were cooking in. I tasted a little bit of it and it tastes like just diluted pineapple juice. So I'm gonna can some of that water up because I wanna fill my canner, but also I think it would be really yummy to have that water and put it in a smoothie. It would give it a little extra pineapple taste. So we're gonna can up some of that extra water and then once these get to a boil, we'll set the timer for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit, just so that we have a clean working surface, and then we will finally get started on those apple treats. We have our work surface all cleaned off. So we're gonna get started on the apple, we'll call them apple pie turnovers. The recipe that I'm making is kind of inspired from this cookbook. One way I kind of experiment with cookbooks is not only through watching people's videos on YouTube, like seeing what they're cooking out of the cookbook, but I actually borrow books from the library, so cookbooks. And this particular book, well, not this one's my own copy, but this book I borrowed from our local library because I thought it sounded interesting because it's called Homemade Pantry, and I mean, that's what I pretty much have. And so I borrowed it, and when I borrow a book, I test the recipes out. And this cookbook had a lot of recipes in it that I knew I was going to like. So I borrowed the cookbook, tried the recipes out, returned the book back to the library, and then I ordered this on Amazon. And so this one, Toaster's Pastry, it's on page 58 if you have this particular book. And this is kind of what inspired me to make my turnovers. I kind of have deviated a little bit away from it. I've made it my own style, which is what I usually end up doing with most recipes anyways. But that is a great tip if you guys don't want to invest in a cookbook right away because you're not sure if you're gonna like it. Like you see somebody make one recipe out of it and you think, oh, I like that. Always see if you can borrow it either from a friend or from a library and try out a couple more of the recipes before you invest in buying the book. And I mean, definitely look at thrift stores as well. That's a really great option for buying cookbooks. That is usually actually how I end up buying mine because they're only like under $1. Sometimes you can even get them for $1 at the thrift store. So just a little tip for you. So let's get this started now. We're gonna get the oven preheated at 375. We have our baking sheet lined with a silicone mat. And then I just took our pie crust out of the fridge. I also have to get an egg washed because we need to do an egg wash on this. And I wanna just clean it up. Oh, this egg has a crack on it. Oh no, can't use that one. I forgot to set the timer for those pineapples. Hopefully it's fine. Okay, I am going to put a little flour down on my countertop. My roller as well. And we are gonna get this rolled out to probably about, I would say maybe 1/4 of an inch. And then I have this really neat Pampered Chef. It's called Cut and Seal. And this is what I use to make my shapes. It makes a perfect uniform round shape. So we're just gonna cut out all of our pieces. We're gonna make up our egg wash. So we're just gonna take 1 large egg, and then I'm gonna go and add a little bit of water to this, and then we're just gonna beat this. Get a pastry brush. With our pieces that we cut out, we're gonna take 2 of them. This is our apple pie filling, and we're just gonna take about maybe a little over a tablespoon, like so. And then we're gonna put our piece on top. We're gonna take our little cutter, and then you just push down on it, and then it seals like that. To go around it with a fork and just make sure it is really sealed up. And then you wanna poke about 3 little slots in it for air vents, and then put them on your baking tray. So we're gonna do that for all of these. Now, if you don't have one of these press and seal things, again, just put a little bit of water around the edge, so when you're putting this on and you're gonna seal this together, it'll stick way better. And you can do this with any type of pie filling. I do it with jam usually, but if you have any type of pie filling or jam, it works perfect. Now, I'm not gonna bake all of these. Some of these I'm gonna leave unbaked and just flash freeze in the freezer. I'm probably only gonna make about 6 of them. That's a really good treat. We'll bake the 6. I'll show you what they look like coming out of the oven. But the other ones that we're doing, I'm just gonna put them all on a baking tray, again, lined with the silicone mat. And we'll just put them in the freezer, flash freeze them, and then I will throw them in a Ziploc baggie, mark it apple turnovers, and then when I want them, I can just take them out, defrost them, and then cook them, and then perfect little dessert for that day. So let's get finished making these. That has 7 more minutes on it. So then once that's done, we'll take those out. So we have our oven preheated now. So the ones that I am going to put into the freezer to flash freeze, I am not gonna put an egg wash on those. I'm just gonna leave them like this, and before we cook them, that is when we'll put the egg wash on. But the ones that are going in the oven right now, we are going to get an egg wash put on top of them. And at this point, you can just put them in the oven, and then when they come out, you can put some icing sugar on them. But one thing I like to do is I like to take some white sugar, granulated sugar, and just sprinkle it on the top. And it leaves a really nice sweet taste to them. I don't put icing sugar on them when they come out. This is kind of my version of icing sugar. So now we're gonna put these in the oven for 25 minutes. They might need maybe 30 minutes. We'll check them at 25. I can smell these and our timer went off, so let's get them out. Oven off. Oh, that's hot cookie sheet. There they are. Perfect. The recipe says to let it cool for 20 minutes on a cooling rack before you eat into it. I would imagine it would be pretty piping hot inside of there. So we got the other canning jars all done. We have them all sitting here. So we're just gonna leave them, but that's quite a bit of, how many did we get? So we got 14 pint size, well 14 and a half because one's not all the way full, and 2 pineapple juices out of 5 store-bought pineapples, which is pretty awesome. You can definitely purchase pineapple for a pretty good price in the cans, but I just like not having extra sugar in it. That's just fresh pineapple. It's awesome. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming along with me today while I got that chore done. I absolutely love bringing you guys along while I'm getting my homemaker chores done. And especially showing you really neat things to get canned. Canning pickles, you know, all that stuff, that's pretty standard, but I love showing you guys interesting things to can, like pineapple. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.